hello, and welcome to another video of another book that I actually enjoyed, which that's 2 in a row, so pretty fun and funky and sexy of me if I dare say so myself. I read the Caraval series, and I know this book came out in like 2018 and that it has been talked about and it is already done, but I haven't talked about it yet and I didn't know it yet, so I'm talking about it now. I guess the premise of the book is there are these 2 sisters, Scarlett and Donatella, but everyone just calls her Tella. Scarlett and Tella have this awful abusive father, and he's trying to marry away Scarlett, and Tella decides that she is going to write to this dude named Legend, who owns a caraval that travels and is magical and mystical, and he is like the ringleader, and you get an invitation to the caraval, you go, you play these games, if you win you get like a wish, and if you don't win, well then you had fun along the ride, right? Little participation award for you. So she sends a letter to Legend and she's like, you have to help me, my sister's gonna be married away, like my father's an evil man, and like they say that you're a villain, but like I don't believe it. Like I believe there's some good in you. Like you're tired of playing a villain. Why don't you try being a nice guy for a change? And so they get invitations to the caraval, and Scarlett and Tella and this random sailor who is like, I have a ship, I can bring you. Go, and then Scarlett and Julian are heading up to the gates, and Scarlett's like, where's Tella? Where's Tella? And Julian is like, oh, I'm sure she's just ahead of us. I'm sure it's fine. And then we find out that the game this year is Scarlett, you have to find your sister or she dies. Which I kind of really liked. It was giving Labyrinth. It was giving like David Bowie, like, oh, you didn't want your sister? I've taken her away from you. Problem solved. And so I really liked that, and then Scarlett and Julian have to solve all of these basically like riddle quests, and they end up falling in love, and then she finds Tella at the end of it, and it's great. And then we find out that Julian, at first Scarlett thought that Julian might be Legend, but we find out that he is actually Legend's brother, which I won't lie, I didn't like. I would have just rather it been like, I'm Legend's best friend or something, I don't know. Something about it being a brother, because in the next book, and this is what's so great about this series, is I've read too many series that could have been one book. This series makes sense to be a series, because the next book is a whole new caraval and is from Tella's point of view. So it like makes sense, like there was an ending and a new start, whereas like a lot of books I'm like, this didn't need to end here. You could have just like cut out half of this and then left it to be one book. So it makes sense that there are 2 books, because it's a new caraval and it's a new point of view. And also it's just Tella's point of view, which I love. I hate multiple point of views because there's always someone I just don't give a fuck about. And I just don't want to read what they have to say, honestly. First book I liked. I thought Scarlett and Julian were cute together. I liked that it was like this magical fantasy land where they have to solve riddles to save her sister. It was giving The Labyrinth, and loved David Bowie, what's not to like. It was great. So I instantly bought the second book. And then the second book is from Donatella's point of view. And her goal is to find Legend, because the way she got her letters to Legend, she contacts this dude who's like, I can get you Legend's contact info, I can get you his number, I can get you his deets, however, there will be a price that you have to pay later. And we find out that the price is she needs to find out who Legend really is and give this mysterious person Legend's name. And she's like, I really thought I would have figured this one out by now, but I still don't know who Legend is, and that's really unfortunate. She has to find out who Legend is, and she does not know yet, and that's not great for her, because you shouldn't promise people that you don't know their powers. Don't make bargains that you can't keep, I don't know. So she ends up, their new caraval is taking place at this kingdom, because the queen is requesting it. And so they all go over there. And for some reason she doesn't have a room, and so Dante, the man that she is kind of kerfuffling and canoodling with. So many interesting words there. Yeah, they're having their own little kerfuffle and canoodle, you know? They're doing their little enemies to lovers, but they also find each other attractive and want a bone thing. And so she's like, fuck, I don't have a room, and they're not gonna let me in. And Dante's like, he, I'm gonna say that you're this prince's fiance, because that'll be fun and entertaining for me. And so everyone's like, oh my god, well, if you're this prince's fiance, then right away, yes, of course you can have a room in the castle. And then the prince is like, hey, had no idea I had a fiance. That's so great for me. Wear this dress that I bought you so that I can figure out who you are. Hee hee. And then we find out that the fiance is actually a fate, which is just like an evil little demon person, I guess. I don't really know. The fates they're just evil beings, really. They're immortal evil beings. So we find out that the prince is actually the Prince of Hearts, which is this fate who can control emotions, and they say that his kiss is fatal to all except his true love. And he kisses Donatella, and he's like, if you don't find out who Legend is, because also the prince is also this secret correspondent that gave her Legend's contact information. So it's all wrapped into one, which is great. He's like, if you don't tell me who Legend is, I'll kill you. Which I loved. I don't know. He was giving Bill Cipher energy. I was here for it. Like, Julian and Scarlett had their like cute romance where they were like cute and whatever, and they had like tiny bit of banter. But like, because I was also assuming that Legend, because the entire time they're like, oh, well, Legend, you know, he played a villain so often that he finally became one, and he's just this evilest, heartless monster who makes women fall in love with him, and like, meh. Okay, we find out Legend is Dante, and Dante helps. Big spoiler. This is a spoiler adventure. All of these books are about to be spoiled for you. We find out that Dante is actually Legend, and he's been helping Tella through this new caraval this whole time. And the end goal of this caraval is make sure the fates don't escape. Basically, the fates are all trapped except for the Prince of Hearts, and if they escape, everything bad will happen. So this is more of a haha, it's just a game, but it's not really. Please make sure this doesn't happen. He. But don't, no jokes, but he, not jokes. Don't let this happen. So Dante's helping her through all these riddle quests. We find out that Dante is Legend, and I was a little disappointed by him because they keep saying, oh, Legend is this villain, like Legend has played a villain so much. Dante is supposed to be this villain because he's Legend, and everyone says that Legend played a villain so often that he finally became one. And Dante really has no zest, if I dare say so myself. He has no spice. He's not unhinged at all. Not that he has to be unhinged, but he's not even that morally gray. You know? Like, Donatella is like, oh, I like want you to love me, and apparently if immortals fall in love, then they become human. And Dante is like, I'm just not willing to die yet. Sorry, babe, not gonna love you. And I'm like, okay, seems reasonable, but not really villain-esque, you know? More just like any other random fuckboy on the planet. I don't know, like, he is not that interesting to me, and I don't really understand why Donatella is so in love with him. Because they don't even have that much chemistry, really. But the Prince of Hearts, I fuck with him. I love him. He's great. He is exactly what I was looking for in a morally gray, slightly chaotic man. You know, like, we find out that Donatella is his true love, and that the kiss won't kill him because Donatella is fated to be with him. And I was like, oh, yes, this is perfect. I love this. She doesn't go for the Prince of Hearts. She's like, and I also like wish that they were like more attracted to each other, you know? Like, I understand the Prince of Hearts is like obsessed with her because he's an immortal and he can't love, but he can definitely be like, you need to love me and I will do anything to make you have feelings for me, whereas I don't really give a shit about anything. That made sense for his character, but I feel like if Donatella was his fated meant to be, then why wasn't she into him just a little bit more, you know? Like, I feel like she was like, yeah, he's got nice lips, and he's a little pretty, but I'm in love with Dante, so it doesn't matter. And I just would have liked a little more yearning on their end. I would have loved a little more like pushback. I would have loved a little more like, I actually do really like him, and I am kind of torn, you know? Whereas she was just in love with Dante this whole time, and she just wanted Dante to be in love with her, and Dante is just a very nicely, very pretty, very expensive doormat, honestly. If we're being honest, what does he bring to the table? He's got magic? Okay, so does the Prince of Hearts, really. Yeah, I don't know, I just like, him as legend kind of disappointed me, that's fine. But the third book, the Fates broke out, they're planning to take over this kingdom. It's all very bad. The Prince of Hearts is like, I'll help you, but my side quest is that I want you to love me. And Dante is like, I want you to be immortal so that you never die. And Scarlet is off doing things with Julian, and I don't really care about that whole plot story, I won't lie. They just don't interest me. So the third book is just a lot, the third book is what really loses me, and I think that's just how it does with fantasy novels. Like, the second book is always my butter and jam, and then the first book I'm like, ugh, I hate world building, and then the third book I'm like, I just kind of want this to be over. I liked it, I enjoyed it, I read it. Again, I mainly read it for the Prince of Hearts though. I do think that Donatella should have ended up with him in the end. And she ended up with Legend / Dante. And also, I think it's lame that Dante decided to be a human for her. I feel like we can have both, you know? I mean, I guess we can't, because if he was immortal, he would never really love her. But like, there's gotta be an in-between between immortality and humanity, you know? Like, there's gotta be a gray area where he can still be fun and magical and have like his caraval and like live his magical, I don't know. I just think it was dumb because I just didn't see the heat or chemistry between the two at all, and the entire time I was like, why isn't she with the Prince of Hearts? Like, I get it. He's an unhinged demon man, but like, at least he's bringing something interesting to the table. You'll never be bored, babe. I don't know. I liked the Prince of Hearts way better than Dante. I thought Dante was a limp fish, and he just didn't do anything for me. But as a whole, the stories were great. Loved the magic-y vibes. Yeah, loved the magic-y vibes. Loved like caravals, like energy, riddles, quests, magic, fun, funky, fresh, labyrinth-esque energy. I thought it was great. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Scarlet, I just didn't really care for her. At the end, she's like, there's a whole plot. I don't know. The third book didn't have me as hooked as the first and second book. I think this is mainly because it did become Scarlet's point of view and Tella's point of view, and I just hate multiple POVs. Unless it's Midnight Sun, in which case, give me that. The third book was fine. If she had ended up with Prince of Hearts, which I think she should have, because also, like, she's his one true love! It's sad they don't end up together. They were destined to be together. As he said, you were supposed to love me, but yet you loved this other limp fish of a man, and I couldn't agree more with the Prince of Hearts. She was supposed to love him! I don't know. I feel like she would have had a better shot turning him human than turning Dante human. I don't know. He was a fuckboy, and then he was like, I'm not a fuckboy, because I'm only a fuckboy for you, babe. And I was like, okay, good for you. What do you bring to the table? Not much. Oh! I didn't like that Julian and Dante were brothers because I thought it was weird that these two brothers ended up with the two sisters. It felt weird to me. I hate that. It seems strange. It seems like Wattpad-esque level of plot, and I wish that it was like, Julian was like, I'm Legend's best friend that knew Legend before he turned into a villain. Also, would have wished that Legend had been a bit more villainesque. Again, what does he do that's mean? He plays no villain. He sets up these magical, like, worlds for people to solve riddles in with a special invite, and then they get a little wish at the end. That's not evil. That's not bad. I mean, I guess in the beginning where he was like, hee, I stole your sister, we could be like, oh, maybe he is evil. But even then, he didn't even steal her sister. Her sister literally was like, I have a fun, funky plan, and it is, we take me captive, you know? So like, where is he villanesque? I don't understand. That whole plot line annoys me. I wish they were just like, or they could have been like, yeah, he's the master of the caraval, and you know, like, obviously he's insane, because that would check out. I don't know, make him a little morally deranged. Give him something. He had nothing. He had nothing going for him. He was a sweet boy with little magical powers that didn't want to be in love. That's like most 19-year-old men. Also, his powers were lame. Prince of Hearts, he could stop everyone's heart, make time freeze. Legend, he's got smoke, he's got magic tricks, he's got, I don't know, he's got guises, I don't know. It was a good book, I guess. Anyway, that's all I've got for you guys. I really liked this series, despite the fact that I didn't like Legend at all. It sounds like I hated this series. I really didn't. I just didn't understand him. I rated it like 3.5 stars. I liked the second book the best because I liked Tella the best. I think that she was great. And that's all I've got. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace, peace.